Thank you, Bruce, and fellow Rotarians. Did I do this last year? I don't remember. It's going by so quick.
Yes, you did.
Say the usual kind of thing.
Nobody remembered it.
I see it was it. I didn't even remember it. I probably got up here to talk about it, right? Very good.
Mayor last year?
I'm on my 13th, finishing my 13th month, so yeah. Remember
Really?
So, but fellow Rotarians, what a year we had. We could put 2024 in perspective. It would always be facing situations, good and bad, but we are still here as a community. We have a lot of great organizations and residents who care about our community. These people are the ones who spend their time and efforts to make our village special. My wife always tells me that the best gift you can give someone or something is your time. Isn't that the truth? The Rotarians, we are committed to give time. We meet every Tuesday at a fellowship, have lunch, and listen to a guest speaker. And for many years now, we've had hundreds of individuals be part of our club and do outreach here in the Hicksville district and international levels. And it's been a great club to be a part of over all the years. As mayor, I didn't have any real surprises my first year. I guess the biggest challenge would be to having the hospital closed. I had heard rumors prior to 2024 coming into the office, but as things progressed in the direction of CMH was inevitable, that would soon close at sometime during this last year. My hope along with the community is that someone will buy the facility and reopen it in some type of healthcare operations. It is a big impact to the village and the surrounding communities and the EMS services not to have the hospital here locally. So we're definitely working on trying to find a buyer for it. Again, the biggest challenge related to the CMH is how our EMS department can handle taking patients during emergency care to other hospitals. We've never had to do that before, right? At times. We now have to go to either Defiance, Bryant, Auburn, Fort Wayne. We cover approximately 100 square miles around Hicksville, Farmer, Mark, and parts of Milford Townships. We had to hire additional EMS staff and handle the extended transport times and additional runs that we were called in. Currently we have 11 EMTs, so we are beefing up our numbers for our EMTs, 6 full-time and 5 part-time. We also have around 7 firemen taking the EMT basic class right now, so we're excited about having the firemen step up, and some of our younger people are doing that, so that's a blessing. We really didn't realize how many local residents drove directly to the hospital. You know, we've always done EMS care, but a lot of people just jump in the car if they had an emergency and drive there. Now we're seeing it because they don't want to drive to Fort Wayne in case they have another situation in the car. So they're calling us to transport more often. So we've also purchased a second squad this last year in case several calls come in at the same time. We can thank the current, I can't thank the current staff enough for all of their time during, they run 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. So the staff that we do have are on call. So I thank them for that. And then Sherwood EMS this last year, until we got our numbers beefed up, was a great help to us. They always back us up. So we appreciate that. A little bit about the splash pad. It was not completed. We all know not completed in 2024. I know all the individuals and organizations that helped raise the money for this project. We were all a little disappointed, but I thank them and the community for their patience. They had some delays in receiving parts, weather, and all had an impact in construction. Right now the goal is to have everything up and running the spring of this year, 2025. Along with the splash pad, the village has been working on possibly building a new pool at the park. To go along with the splash pad. I really hope we can get this accomplished in 2025. Our village clerk, Cheryl Smith, has been there a long time, and Corey, Awan, have worked hard these last 2 years to try to save some money up so we can put some cash down on this new pool. It is not cheap. It's a little bit bigger, bolder pool than most communities have, with the type of facility is. The designers, it's kind of a destination pool. They got 2 slides, a diving board, a low entry walk-in level, a lot of seating, things like that. So, we thought with the splash pad, the pool, people can spend the day here. Go buy some food in town, have concessions there at the facility, but also just spend the day here enjoying the pool in the park, kind of thing. So. Something else new at the park is the 18-hole Frisbee golf course. Everybody know we have a Frisbee golf course at the park? No? No. If you're into Frisbee golf. We had a young local man get a grant to put in a new 18-hole course. It stretches all the way around the park, out the perimeter, inside, and they had an outing this summer, and we went out and watched them, and they, I bet you maybe 30 or 40 company, maybe total numbers, but we had a lot of people turn out for it. So we're excited to have another asset, another thing to do at the park there. So, but overall, I enjoyed my first year as mayor. I did have some challenges, but it was a blessing serving the community, working with the village staff and the residents. Within our village departments, I was new to the position this last year. Our EMS chief, Bruce Silcott, was new. Our fire chief, Derek Cochran, was new. We had a new solicitor, Rachel Hammersmith. She took Troy Essex' job because he went to be judge and municipal judge in defiance. And the zoning inspector was new. So we had a lot of new people, and that was a challenge. Everybody kind of learning their new roles and opportunities. And then, and also we had a new utility clerk, Abby Laker, took over for Don Hosteller. So we missed the people that were there, but at the same time, we got some new people that are involved in the community and village operations and stuff. So, but they're doing a great job. We had several industrial expansions come into completion in the village this last year. Nimco Food, most of you have seen that. AP Tea Manufacturing had a decent sized expansion. Currently, Arc Solutions is working on a possible expansion for the future. We are also working with Brian Keller to build an industrial spec building down at the industrial park. We also had seen some growth within our retail and service businesses in 2024. Our downtown is full with outlying-based businesses starting up, such as Hirschberger Foods. He's still renovating the store building down here, wanting to move his operations in there sometime here real soon. Amanda Lee Coffee, that relocated out there out by Dairy D. That's just to name a few. But it's always a blessing to see growth in the village and people investing in the community. We've also had a second water tower and industrial park completed, the new well field to help supply the village water supply. Within the well field coverage, a group of, in the well field area, we've had the nature trail committee put that out there. That's 1.8 miles, it's beautiful. That's another asset. People can enjoy nature, and part of that walking trail out there, out in the well field. So I know they're also planning on doing some additions to the nature trail here, maybe putting up a gazebo, putting up some benches and bird feeders, different things like that to enhance it a little bit. They've been working on that. Myself, the village council, and the staff would like to keep working on businesses and industrial growth in the village for 2025. We also strive to upgrade our infrastructure, water and sanitary lines, streets, sidewalks, park, and our equipment. But the main focus is to bring some new housing within the village. This last year, I probably went to 3 meetings, Lima, Toledo, every community, I don't care if it's big, small, are crying about housing. Everybody wants housing. They don't have enough residents in their communities, and we're all fighting for that battle, for the money, for the land kind of thing, for the developers to come in and invest in your community. So everything I've been to, they're all wanting the same thing. And they look for grant dollars. The state hasn't done a lot with the grant funding for housing, more business, industrial-based grants, things like that. So, but it's not something we can just sit back and watch. If we want to be a part of the growth within your community has to grow. We've had the same population base. In fact, I think it's down a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've seen a lot of people in town move to outside of town. Maybe buying some acreage and different things and moving that way. But we see some new people moving in. My neighbors are one's from Antwerp, one's from Garrett. And I said, why do you pick Hicksville? Kind of thing. And they're like, well, she works at Fairview and he works in Garrett. So it's a middle spot. And her parents are from Antwerp and things and stuff like that. So we have some new younger families moving in. So with this housing, we want to try to build affordable housing, of course, and certain people with their income levels, and they grow that funding for. They might start in a home in town, but as they grow and they want a bigger house, the kids come along, things like that, they can purchase a new home or build a new home, down the road. So, but with that, with bringing new housing into the village, we're working with like the Defiant CIC, Maumee Valley Planning, the commissioners, local investors to see if we can get some housing development started in 2025. And the village and county continues to see businesses growth. But we also need to have the housing opportunities ready for the new families to move into. They need a place to live in Hicksville and Defiance County, and is a great place to work, go to school, and raise a family. We're also currently working on a new website for the village, have it more interactive with local events, things like that, emergency alerts. Does anybody do our phone emergency alerts in town? Maybe have that hyper alert.
It used to happen, but that must have been at the business, because I don't get it at home.
Right, because you can put it would come to your whatever landline and your cell phone, right? So if you want to I have brochures at the office. I could bring those next council meeting, but it's a great asset for our community. Talked about like this last week, the cold weather. Whirler wasn't coming out with the diesel trucks. So you had all these people taking their garbage out. It's, 0 outside. Next thing you know, it's not out. They got to haul them back in. If there's a water main break in a certain area in town, they could do a hyper reach. Let people know in that area that, your water is going to be shut off for a while, or you need to do a boil advisory, things of that nature. So, it works pretty good. But like I said, if I could bring some brochures next week, and if anybody wants to sign up for it, they can. So, and with that new website, Drew works. He's a local, works out at Sabre Tower, great guy. He's a fireman, a policeman, he's an EMT, does a lot for the community, good at IT stuff, so we hired him to help build and be a part of our new village website. But with that, we're also planning a 150th celebration this year in June 5th, 6th, and 7th, and Steve and Susan, you all in the committee in the room here. Can we get that? Can we get it for it?
You guys keeping track of this for next week?
The fellowship?
Yeah.
That's a good time.
Jim can't even hear it, that's what's
But the 150th celebration is going to be in June. 1975 it was June. The JCs ran it back then. I think most of it was at the fairgrounds. They did some stuff downtown, but most activities were at the fairgrounds. So we're up to 150th now, 50 years later, and we're going to celebrate it here downtown. Thursday night we're talking about doing a dinner at the Crook Miller Building. I know the Historical Society and Susan's working on that. We have Steve working on kids stuff, kids games and different things. We have a great committee. Eric Bassett, Diane Collins, Susan, Chris Feeter, I'm going to miss some of them, but Greg Brown, Jody Bland, different people. We have probably 12, 13 people on it. And everybody's doing different activities, of course. So we're excited to do that. Again, kickoff dinner maybe that Thursday night on the 5th. Then Friday is going to be more downtown focused, right? Downtown sidewalk sales, people right garage sales, different things like that. We're going to have a parade Friday night at 6 o'clock here in town. And we went, the churches, the organizations, the businesses all participate in the parade. This is about celebrating Hicksville and its heritage, the proud past, bright future. So different things like that. Then Saturday, we have a car show downtown. And then we're kind of refocusing, moving things out to the park. Having activities out at the park that day, maybe a softball tournament, basketball, wiffle ball, volleyball, have vendors down there reaching out to food vendors and different things, maybe having a dinner in the park pavilion. The fireworks then will kick off the event or complete the event that Saturday night at the park. So, like I said, we got a lot of good people working on it and trying to make it a fun day for the community and people that want to come and enjoy the time here. So, the firemen are involved. They're going to do maybe a breakfast and a bingo Saturday morning kind of thing, and just different things. So, some of the stuff's coming together. You have a flyer. That's kind of a preliminary schedule. Of course, things change as time goes by. If you would like to give any donations, we're raising money to buy the blow-ups for the kids and marketing and things of that nature. But if anybody wants to donate anything to the festival, Cheryl is keeping a line item account there at the village for us, and it's on that sheet there.
I'm gonna know too that gun raffle, we earmarked that money.
Oh, for the, yeah.
One of the reasons we're doing that gun raffle is to raise money for Rotary to give to this centennial celebration.
I've never done this before, I'm ballparking, like right now, I know, the Eagles gave some money for the fireworks, they're pretty much helping sponsor the fireworks, they've done that for years now for Corey Wan, he helped organize that. They're doing it again this year, plus give us some extra money, so when we sit there and talk about the festival, what costs money, we have bands coming in, the Huber has a band from Columbus, right, Susan? That songwriter, Steve? They're gonna kind of reenact the Hearts Band that was here years ago, they kind of do the history of it, kind of what kind of music they played, when they played it kind of thing, and they're gonna come up and maybe be a part of that at the Huber. That is on Friday night, Friday evening after the parade. So, did I miss anything, Susan, Steve? No. So we got that coming up, exciting for that. But to sum up things, I'm honored to be a part of the Village of Hicksville. We always face challenges in the future, but I know that the citizens of Hicksville, the village staff will persevere and face the challenges wholeheartedly. The citizens of Hicksville is what makes our village special and proud community in Northwest Ohio. So that's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Back to sponsorships for the, whatever.
Yes, so, yeah.
Celebration. Do you have different levels of giving, or?
You know what? No,
recommended?
not really, no.
Okay,
Anybody can give. You know,
Okay.
if someone wants to give, whatever.
Okay.
We're just happy about it, so. We can do like a gold and silver and different things like that, you know, citizens.
But
we
you're
give
not.
people, no.
okay.
Right. But over the time, but, you know, something else real quick about the village, we operate on about a $13 million budget every year. You know, every year it goes up a little bit, but, we currently have 67 employees for the village. You know, I didn't know if you knew that. Out of those, we have 27 full-time, we have 9 part-time, and then we have 31 volunteers. The volunteers are like the EMTs that kind of come in different shifts and help out, kind of thing.
Mike, on that infrastructure for residential construction and stuff, it looked like originally it might have been, they were asking the village to help fund it. Was there gonna be something to pay that back, or is that just gonna be and I don't know if that's changed, or is that just gonna be a gift?
Not a gift. No.
It'll be something you front and then they'll.
Right, we're seeing if the county commissioners and our partner for the building the road and the infrastructure. The payback though is a TIF program, so when the houses are built, people occupy the house, the portion of the property taxes go back to pay for the infrastructure. So it doesn't happen overnight, it's not, it's a slow return. We keep hearing, like, you know, we've talked to Keith Conserman of these different people that have factories that bring people in, engineers, workers, everything. And, you know, they said, well, we'd like to move to town, but there's nothing available. I don't know if you've heard that over the years, but yeah, it's a TIP program, it's paid back through property tax. So the more houses you build, the more higher level the homes kind of thing, evaluation, then the more payback you get over time. Plus, when you get people moving to town, it's just not that dollar, you know, the property taxes, they hopefully shop here, pay their income tax here, they go to school here. It feeds all different types of avenues of, you know, financial gain for the community. Okay, so.
Will those taxes, I'm sorry, will those taxes be higher than normal? Let's just take a $300,000 home and let's say it costs $3,000 a year. Because of the TIF, will those taxes be higher than the normal taxes?
I don't think they can do that. They can't elevate your property tax or property
It's
tax.
just that the county will sell it for less money.
The TIF is the TIF added on top of that as a separate?
Yeah, you know what? We're still learning about all that. You know, I've talked to Jill a little bit over the course of time on some of this stuff, so that's a way to get paid back through this funding and everything. I don't know how it all works with the level of payback, because the school's part of that property tax, you know, so when you see an industry do a tax abatement or, you know, kind of thing, they have to go through the school. There's other entities embedded in this than just the village and the county, because we all only get paid back through that program. Now, you know, they give, not rebates, but those incentives to schools. Well, they might only get 25% of the tax that they should be getting, but when that, let's say it's a 10-year, when that 10 years is up, it goes back to maybe 100, right? But they give them that break for the first 10 years to help with their bill and everything. That makes sense?
They talked about what price range you think you'll be able those, I can't think of the right term, I'll say beginning houses or sounds like, but what I've been reading, right, you're gonna start with houses that maybe aren't as expensive for first-time home buyers and stuff.
You know, we all pretty much know, you know, Justin Coon's the main driver behind this
Right.
impact for the housing and everything. And he's got a couple builders that wanna go ahead and start building spec homes. Justin knows, I've talked to him several times in our administration and everything, he knows he needs different level of housing, right? Anybody can buy a lot and build. He doesn't care what builder comes in, it's not just strictly his builders. Anybody can come in and buy a lot and build their house. But he knows there's he knows we need those starter homes, so, and then mid-range and then high. If somebody wants to build a higher end home, they can,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, but it's gonna take time. This doesn't, you know, we've watched this around us for so many years. You know, Brian's had some in Defiance, and I, being from Indiana, I know Auburn and, you know, Butler and different places like that, going towards Fort Wayne, Leo, Harlan, Grayville. It just seems like one housing development after another, you know, as you go through that stuff, so. I think it's moving
The thing
forward.
is, I think about it, look at that, think of new construction, man, I can't,
It's expensive.
seems like it'd be hard to get in even a small house for less than 300,000, you know?
Well, they're saying but by the time you build your, you know, buy your lot, right? And then build your house, you're in that high twos, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot,
I don't
and for
think-
Hicksville, correct me if I'm wrong, that's pretty good. That's a higher level than what we've been accustomed to, right? But you see some of our older homes in town here that have been rehabbed and fixed up and everything, they're going at a much higher level. You know, maybe the 150 or the 175, where back in, you know, I'm not telling you guys anything, you've been part of this forever, right? But they see it, they know it. You know, housing market just skyrocketed. Right now, it was a seller's market, wasn't it? Yeah. Now it's kind of leveled off a little bit, but, you know, we still have an interest, you know, hopefully bringing some more jobs to the community. Not only can people live in Hicksville, you know, they work in Auburn, Fort Wayne, Defiance is working on some new industrial businesses and everything, so, yeah. Does that make sense?
I was hearing that Auburn is doing a new housing development because they're only 8.5 miles from SDI. And I'm thinking, well, we're only about 8.5 miles from
Yeah.
SDI the other way.
We have a lot of people who are SDI here.
You know, and I don't know if that's something that you can, gain.
Mhm,
those
absolutely.
people,
If
you
we
know,
don't have the
I mean-
housing program in place or a place to build a house, they're,
Yeah, but are
with the
they aware of
infrastructure
it,
there,
you know,
right,
would they be
Yeah.
solicited to look at Ohio,
Right.
lower taxes and same mileage, great
Yeah,
school,
people-
you know, everything.
Any other questions?